Yeah. Look at that, 69 people right when I started. Again, that's the magic number. You know what I'm saying? What is going on, my people? It is I, DJ Eastwood, Run It Back Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros. You know the drill. Hit the like button on the stream. That helps me out. That pushes the show to more and more and more and more Sixers fans, diehard, hardcore Sixers fans, the only people that want to hear Sixers news and speaking topics in the offseason. The real ones, not the fair weather ones, not the ones that are like, I'll think about them when the season starts up again, or when I post a conversation topic and people will be like, I'll believe it when I see it. Hey, podcast guy, why don't you be quiet until the season starts? I'm not trying to hear any of this until the season starts. Okay, then turn it off, man. What's up, my people? Hey, hit the subscribe button. Only 30% of people that watch these shows are subscribed to the channel. That is fraudulent behavior, and this is the No Fraud Zone. Shout out to Asia Roberson for joining the crew. Shout out to Dante Costa for subscribing to the channel. Shout out to Rasan Granderson, most recent super chat. Shout out to Seth Rowe with the highest super chat of the month. Thank you for everybody that supports the channel and the movement. And shout out to everybody in the chat. Lunchtime live. What you guys doing right now, man? What you doing? Are you at work? Are you hanging out by the pool? Are you? Did you just wake up? Are you in another country? Tim Starr, Run It Back over NBC. I agree with that. You know, speaking of NBC, listen, I don't know if you guys heard the news about Mike Missanelli joining Jockey Sports Media YouTube show. Ladies and gentlemen, we have radio personalities going to YouTube, and we have YouTube personalities going to radio. What is happening? Jockey Media will have the Eagles postgame live show featuring Mike Missanelli on YouTube. That is interesting. Jacob says, hiding at work to watch. Shout out to you. Don't get fired. All right? I would feel bad. Fort Lord, yo, DJ Eastwood, how long was I subscribed to you? I have no idea, but thank you for being subscribed. There's just, bro, how would I keep track of that? Taz Journey at home with COVID. Hey, sorry to hear that. I had COVID. It rocked me for a couple days. It definitely sucked. But, you're good, bro. You're good. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. It's all good. All right, let's get into the business, man. 103 people in here. Please hit the like button. Bam! Give me 103 likes. A topic that I came across yesterday that I thought was interesting. Zach Lowe on NBA Today said that on paper, this Sixers team is, quote, the best of the Joel Embiid era. The best of the Joel Embiid era. And my guy Austin Krell tweeted that out, and he said, surprised that it isn't a more common sentiment. And then he replies, and he says, think the 18-19 team maybe had a better talent at the top, whereas 2022-2023 figures to be much deeper. I agree with that. Depth has mattered more than concentrated talent has over the last 3-4 years. Yes. That's the first thing I'm going to say to start this out. You don't need a super team. The super team era is over. The Warriors are still winning. They got Steph, Clay, and a bunch of pieces that perfectly fit and support the two stars. If you want to consider Draymond a star, fine. All right? The Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and a bunch of great players that fit the two stars. Right? Now, the first thing I'm going to say is I agree. This is and will be the best team Joel Embiid has had so far in his NBA career. And I know what a lot of you are going to say. The first thing I want to say is none of them have been good. Okay? You got to remember that. None of these teams have been the best version. None of these teams have been the best fitting players around Joel Embiid to maximize not only his talents, but take advantage of his talents, maximize the level of play of everybody else. None of these teams have been built the right way. Seriously. Now, I know where you guys are going to point to. You're going to point to the 2018-2019 Philadelphia 76ers team. And the reason you're going to point to that is, one, Jimmy Butler. And I agree, and I won't hate you if your take if your take is that the 2018-19 roster was the best of Joel Embiid's career so far. And you know, if you're sitting on one of those, like, I have to wait and see what this roster is going to look like once they start playing, then I'll put them over that team. I can't disagree with that. The first thing I'm going to say about that roster is it wasn't actually that good. First of all, the only team that roster beat in the playoffs was the Brooklyn Nets, and it wasn't a good Brooklyn Nets. It was D'Angelo Russell, Spencer Dinwiddie, young Jared Allen. It wasn't that good. You know what I'm saying? That team, 2018-2019, was, I would say, carried by Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid. Basically, that team got the farthest and the closest to the Eastern Conference Finals that Joel Embiid's ever gotten so far in his career. But it was because Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler were so perfect for each other that they covered up all of the other deficiencies on that team. The number one problem with that team, you're looking at them right here. The number one problem with that 2018-2019 squad was that they had a power forward pretending to be a point guard. And I don't want to sit up here and gloat. DJ Eastwood, you're never wrong. You call things way before they happen. You state things as truth way before anybody else. And you've never been wrong. And you're once again 100% correct. I said probably almost 2 years ago now, probably a little more than 2 years ago now, no team is ever going to win a championship with a point guard who can't shoot the ball. Especially when you're trying to run a team that's centered around a center. It was totally obvious to me. It was totally obvious to a lot of you. It still blows my mind that it wasn't totally obvious to many, many people, including basketball general managers and coaches. Air quotes, Brett Brown and Elton Brand there. But yeah, the first thing Joel Embiid needs is a ball-handling point guard. That's just the most obvious thing when you break down basketball to its most basic state, 5-on-5. You need to space the floor for the most dominant center in the game. Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler carried and hid the deficiencies of that team. Ben Simmons was a total bum, fraud, loser, disappearing act, coward by the time the playoffs came around, as he is every year. Outside of him, there wasn't any other point guard besides maybe Shake Milton coming off the bench. They cut Trey Burke. They cut James Ennis. I think James Ennis played this through this season. They cut him the next year. I think they signed Trey Burke this upcoming offseason after Jimmy left. Either way, they didn't have an actual point guard. And them not having a point guard in 2018-19, it reminds me, and I don't like to compare it to this, but it reminds me of a certain NFL team that we have in this city right here who did things last season to cover up a lot of deficiencies that ended up looking good in the regular season. But by the time the playoffs came around and it mattered the most, the ugly truth came out, and it always will. That same thing happened with this squad. You cover up the deficiencies just enough to win 50-plus games in the regular season. But when the playoffs came around, the ugly truth came alive, as it always does. The truth always comes to light. I'm like a prophet up here today, man. So by the time the playoffs started, you didn't have a point guard, and you knew you didn't have a point guard. You got by in the regular season. Joel Embiid was dominant enough. Any team a healthy Joel Embiid is on is winning 50 games. I'm putting that out there point blank, period. Put healthy Joel Embiid on any NBA roster in this league, and he's winning 50 games. So they kept telling me, how do you want to break this up? How do you want to fire a coach? How do you want to do this or that? A back-to-back 50-win season. That's because Joel Embiid is so great. But anyway, the fact that they didn't have a point guard forced Brett Brown to center the offense around a player who had been coming off of the bench his entire career, one J.J. Redick. I love J.J. Redick for what he is, for what he was. And J.J. Redick loves Philly. And J.J., we love you back. But Brett Brown centered the whole damn offense around him. And by the time you got deep into the playoffs, I'll never forget it, that Game 7 against Toronto, the final two possessions, and, I didn't look at the stats on this, but I would bet a lot of money that they ran more dribble handoffs than any team in the history of sports. The final two possessions in crunch time, after Jimmy Butler ties the game, J.J. Redick dribble handoff with Ben Simmons. J.J. Redick dribble handoff with Joel Embiid almost at half court. One possession is a turnover because J.J. Redick can't dribble the ball and can't pass the ball, and he shouldn't have the ball out there. You should have a point guard on the floor, but your point guard was standing in the corner. Point guard. The final possession, same concept. Joel Embiid ends up getting the ball back almost at half court, has to try to create something out of nothing, and it ends in a shot clock violation. So not having a point guard is the main reason they ended up falling short in that second round. And then, of course, Kawhi Leonard hits the quadruple bounce fadeaway, whatever, but I don't really consider that the reason they lost. You know, people say we were one bounce away from the Eastern. That team was so great. They were one bounce away from. No, they were not. Brooklyn was not good. Toronto really wasn't even that good, aside from Kawhi Leonard averaging a damn 30-point triple-double in the playoffs. They lost because they didn't have a point guard. That's why I don't go crazy over that 2018-19 roster. A lot of people do, but it's only because you're comparing it to nothing. None of them were really that good. So, let's compare. Why do I think this upcoming roster is clearly better than that 2018-19 roster? I'm going to tell you why. First of all, I don't want to skip over the fact that Jimmy Butler was great. But again, fit matters. And Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler with some other pieces around them would have been an NBA championship level team, which is why I'll never forgive the organization for letting him go. If they would have just said, hey, you two guys are superstars. Whoever you want, we'll get. Whoever you want to get rid of, we'll get rid of. You want me to fire the coach? Brett, you're fired. You want me to trade this 2-5 pretend point guard? You're traded. And they could have built a championship team with those two guys. I don't want to say easily, but pretty easily. Now, when you get past Joel, Jimmy, Fraud Simmons, and J.J. Redick, I think Tobias Harris was a terrible trade. I still don't think Tobias Harris is a good fit next to Joel Embiid. I think Tobias Harris was an awful fit next to Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Jimmy Butler. And you gave up Landry Shamet and 2 first-round picks for him, and then ended up paying him $180 million. It's not irreparable. It is, but it was a bad move. Joel and Jimmy carried, but the fit of Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, and Ben Simmons around Joel Embiid is god-awful, spacing-wise. You got a 0% shooter, a 20% shooter, and, Tobias Harris, who could get close to 40, but shoots like 1 to 2 a game. You need a combo guard, a wing that can shoot threes, and a point guard that can handle the ball, run the pick and roll, and shoot threes. And that's what they have now. That's why fit is more important than superstars at this level, at this stage the 76ers are at. Somebody's still replying to me on Instagram saying we need another superstar. No, we don't. Anyway, let me get into it, bro. Outside of the terrible fit of Tobias Harris next to Jimmy Butler and just trying to throw a bunch of superstars together because Elton Brand and Scott O'Neal and Josh Harris were playing 2K with $1 billion franchise, the best player off the bench for the 2018-19 Philadelphia 76ers was James Ennis. The best player off the bench for the 2019 76ers was James Ennis. Second best player off the bench was Mike Scott. So, you could argue the starting 5 had more talent, but the bench doesn't even compare. The supporting, the depth doesn't even compare, and I don't even have to see this new team play yet to be able to say that. It doesn't even compare. I got a fun fact for you also that kind of proves what I'm saying about how this team was 2018-19. Is that the team we're looking at? Yeah, I keep forgetting the year. 17, 18, 19. 2018-19. The team that got the farthest was poorly constructed, but had enough talent to get you close. But they were not constructed well. The most efficient lineup of the 2018-19 team. Now, you would like your most efficient lineup to be your 5 starters, right? No. The most efficient lineup of that team was Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, J.J. Redick, Furkan Korkmaz, and Wilson Chandler. The most efficient 5 players on the floor were not Jimmy Butler, not Tobias Harris. I'm not talking individually efficient. Obviously, Jimmy Butler was probably the 1B to Joel Embiid on that team. But the 5 players together, the most efficient lineup, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, J.J. Redick, Furkan Korkmaz, and Wilson Chandler. And that's simply because of the spacing. I've been yelling this word for years. I've been yelling this word for years. This is a 7-foot, 280-pound center who scores in the paint. The number 1 priority is spacing. The most efficient starting 5 still in Joel Embiid's career was Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, J.J. Redick, who was on the 2000, Dario Saric and Robert Covington. Why? Spacing. And probably a little bit more defense with Covington out there. All right, so I would say, the supporting cast of that 2018-19 team was James Ennis, in order off the bench. James Ennis, now, try not to throw up when I say this. In order, off the bench, James Ennis, Boban Marjanovic, Mike Scott, Furkan Korkmaz, Greg Monroe, and TJ McConnell. I'm just trying to paint a picture of how easy it is to be better than that roster. That's what I'm saying. People think I'm crazy by saying this upcoming roster is better. It's not hard to be better than that. It wasn't a good roster. It was carried by a lot of top-heavy talent. 2022 roster is better. And there's a couple reasons the 2022-23 roster is going to be better outside of the obvious. Or I'm just going to point out the obvious. Whatever. I got 5 reasons, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 reasons why the 2022-2023 roster will be better than the 2018-19 roster. Number 1, James Harden and Joel Embiid make so much more sense than Joel Embiid and a 6'10 power forward pretending to be a point guard. You had a guy handling the ball every single possession in a time when we should have been trying to space the floor for Joel Embiid. You had a guy handling the ball who would not shoot the ball. How did anybody convince us that that was a good idea? There's a screenshot, I should have pulled it up here, that I shared a million times of Ben Simmons trying to pass the ball to Joel Embiid with his man already double-teaming Joel Embiid. So obviously, combining Joel Embiid with any point guard on the planet is better than that. Seriously. Yes, Ben Simmons is a better talent than Trey Burke. But Trey Burke and Joel Embiid would have been better for Joel Embiid and for the Sixers as a whole than Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Starting Shake Milton would have been better. Actually, going into the next season, Brett Brown announced that he's moving Ben to power forward, and he started Shake Milton. He was trying everything. I remember when we were down 3-0 to the Boston Celtics, and he started TJ McConnell because it just didn't work. So obviously, James Harden, even a little bit past elite, even maybe on the downside compared to what he was doing in Houston, is a billion times a better fit with Joel Embiid. The first time I saw James Harden and Joel Embiid run a pick and roll, and Joel rolled to the basket and caught a perfect drop-off pass next to the rim, I wanted to cry tears of joy because I've been wanting to see this roster and I've been wanting to see normal basketball for 5 years now. I've been wanting to see something that makes sense for years now. And then James' ability to shoot, James' ability to create from the perimeter, and of course, you know, he didn't play up to his own standards or the standards that everybody else has for him and should have for him. And he basically promises to come back this year healthier, in better shape, and at that elite level that he knows he can play at. That's what he said. I'm just saying what he said. Number 2. Obviously, year 3, Tyrese Maxey has the potential to be a star. And the main reason that is a main reason for this upcoming roster to be the best of Joel Embiid's career. I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but it's spacing. Tyrese Maxey shot 42.5% from 3 last season. If you just look at these 3 guys that are on the screen right here, once again, one of them shot 0%. One of them shot 28%. Now you have Joel Embiid, James Harden, and Tyrese Maxey. In year 3, Tyrese Maxey. And back on his game, James Harden. You can argue isn't better than this photo, talent-wise, or maybe, if how depending how high you're putting Jimmy Butler here. But the fit is a billion times better. The spacing, a million times better. And Tyrese Maxey has the potential to be a star in this league. And that's a big three that can take you somewhere. You got Tobias Harris as your fourth option because I don't think they're going to be able to trade him because the contract is too bad. But, you can't complain of having Tobias Harris as a fourth option. And then you look at the depth, and it's not even close. The number 3 reason this roster is better, P.J. Tucker. The dog, ladies and gentlemen. The dog, P.J. Tucker. And if you're just a box score watcher, if you don't watch games, you might look at him and say, oh, my God, we gave $30 million to a guy that averaged 6 points per game. What are we thinking? I see it every day on the internet. But if you watch games, this team lacked hustle and heart and just fire. That dog mentality, that you're not getting to that loose ball unless my heart stops. I am getting it first. That's P.J. Tucker, a workhorse. And his impact in the locker room and in the practice facility around this team might be better, might be more important than him on the court. Because this team was soft last season. This team was embarrassing last season. This team had no fight, had no dog in them last season. So that's number 3, P.J. Tucker. Not to mention, he rebounds like crazy for his size, and he leads the NBA in corner three-point percentage at 46.5% last season. Number 4. DeAnthony Melton and Daniel House are better bench pieces than James Ennis and Mike Scott. Come on, bro. That's simple. DeAnthony Melton at 24 years old, coming off the bench, shooting 37% from 3, averaging 8 3-point attempts per 36, 2 steals per 36, 1 block per 36 at 6'2", and ladies and gentlemen, 7 rebounds per 36 at 6'2". That's another workhorse. That's another dog mentality. And that's a young combo guard, can dribble, pass, and shoot, can come off the bench and absolutely give you buckets at just 24 years old. DeAnthony Melton isn't even talked about enough as far as I'm concerned. And people that don't pay that close attention are going to be pleasantly surprised when DeAnthony Melton comes off of this bench and gives teams around the league bucket after bucket after bucket. And his defense is going to impress people also. So, I mean, look, bro, it's not that hard to be better than James Ennis and Mike Scott. Obviously, DeAnthony Melton and Daniel House are better bench pieces than those two. Number 5. I don't even think you can argue me on this one. Paul Reed and Charles Bassey are better backup center options than Boban Marjanovic and Greg Monroe. I don't even have to elaborate on that one. So, quite obviously and easily, this Sixers roster that Daryl Morey threw together with no cap space in one offseason after getting through the Ben Simmons debacle is the best and will be the best NBA roster the Sixers have had in the Joel Embiid era. Simple. 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 What you guys talking about in the chat, man? What you think? What you think? You agree or you disagree? You agree or you disagree? The 2022-2023 Philadelphia 76ers will be the best roster the Sixers have had in the Joel Embiid era. There's a little tweet for you from StatMuse. Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, PJ Tucker, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. 4 15-plus point per game scorers. Obviously, PJ Tucker's not one of those. But Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. And I would even argue all 4 of those guys could average 20 points per game apiece. There's only one ball to go around, obviously. But that's a good starting lineup, and that's the best fit around Joel Embiid we've seen this far in his career. Let's see what they talking about. Money, please trade Tobias. Somebody says disagree. You want to elaborate on that? George R18, easily agree. Definitely agree. Agree 1%. It's a troll in here, DJ. Where's the troll at? Point him out, bro. Do I got to make you guys mods again? I had mods a while back, man. Who's the troll? Who cares about trolls, bro? Just ignore the trolls. Nobody cares about trolls. We do have a super chat from my man Daniel Hilt. Let me find it right here. Daniel Hilt, thank you for the support as always, my friend. As of right now, who do you think is going to start this year? I think that's it on the screen right there. I don't know if I'm guessing PJ Tucker at the small forward. Like if I had to call it right now, you know, I'm saying James Harden, Tyrese Maxey 1 and 2, PJ at the small forward, Tobias at the 4, Joel Embiid at the 5. I don't like. It's hard to say PJ Tucker is like a modern NBA small forward at this point, but when you put into perspective that we were starting Danny Green and Matisse Thybulle at the 3 last season, it doesn't sound that bad, you know? A hustle guy who's going to grab rebounds, play some defense, and shoot corner threes, still at a pretty high level for his age. I feel pretty comfortable with PJ Tucker at the 3 position. Unless they start Daniel House, I don't know. I couldn't imagine they've given him $30 million for him to come off the bench. Maybe they do. I don't know. Either way, a lot deeper. A lot deeper than last season. 0 fast break points with that starting roster. Richie, are you serious? 0 fast break points with that roster? Are you talking about this Sixers roster? I mean, you could look at just Tyrese Maxey by himself. I don't even think you can play a game with Tyrese Maxey on your roster and have 0 fast break points. Come on, bro. What you talking about? What you talking about in the chat, man? So here, let's just go. Let's read the Zach Lowe tongue twister. Zach Lowe. Shout out to Zach Lowe, NBA. Here's the actual quote from Zach Lowe and what he said. And here's what he said. I love what the Sixers have done this offseason. I love the PJ Tucker move. I love the Daniel House move. I love the DeAnthony Melton trade. These are absolute perfect kind of guys to put around the most unstoppable pick-and-roll combination in the entire NBA of James Harden and Joel Embiid. And if those guys are healthy, and if Harden is in shape, and if he doesn't shrink from the moment in elimination games like we've seen him do time and time again, including the very last one we saw against Miami, this team on paper absolutely has a chance to win the East and win the championship. They're that good. They're that deep. They're that versatile. It's the best team on paper of the Joel Embiid era, right there with the Jimmy Butler team that almost beat the Raptors and had a chance to win the title. They've done all they can do with the resources they have to build a team around Harden and Embiid. Lowe is right on the money when he says this is the best team the Sixers have had since Jimmy Butler was around. The front office has done a good job surrounding their 2 stars with the kind of pieces that would fit, and it's now up to the players as well as the coaching staff to get the job done. I couldn't agree less. I couldn't agree more. Zach Lowe. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's been a day already, man. Give me a break. Cut me some slack here. Daniel Hill, again, man, thanks for the super chat. Talent-wise, I don't think it's the best, but it's definitely a better fit with Joel. Much more depth and shooting. Definitely a big win for Joel. Yes. Bingo. Exactly. On the money. I agree. Where are we going here? All right, so some little tidbit of news that popped up a couple days ago that I not sure if I really care about or not, but the Sixers, Doc Rivers has a preseason South Carolina trip planned for the Sixers. Basically, the Sixers are going to be in Charleston, South Carolina for NBA training camp to get away from family, to just concentrate on basketball and each other as a team, to get their camaraderie. And along with basketball, Doc wants them to learn some American history. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but that's probably Doc Rivers' obsession with the other things that he's interested in outside of the NBA. But anyway, I guess it's not a bad thing for the team to learn American history, but I just don't think that has anything to do with them playing good basketball together. But, I don't know. Dude, I don't know. I don't know. Dude, good players win championships. Do they have to take a field trip together? Do they have to take a team bonding field trip for them to be good enough to win a championship? No. Nobody cares, Doc. Anyway, yeah, that came out, and I just wanted to, I guess, get across the point that I don't care too much about it. How about you just make the right calls, Doc, during the game? Have tough practices. Try to get your team so they're not the worst transition defense team in the NBA. Try to get your team, so they're not the worst offensive rebounding team in the NBA. And, go from there. I don't know if you have to take a trip to North Carolina or South Carolina for your team to, be good enough to win it all. Just make the right decisions as a coach. How about that? 291 people in here, man. Thank you all for being in here. Thank you for joining me today for Lunchtime Live. We are live every Monday and Wednesday at 12. I would love for this to be every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Eventually, in the near future, we will do that 3 times a week right here at 12 o'clock, Lunchtime Live. Tune in every single time at 12. Hit the like button on the stream. Give me 291 likes. That would be greatly appreciated. Another fun little thing, here's a video on James Harden's TikTok, which I didn't know James Harden had a TikTok, but whatever. I do have a Run It Back Philly TikTok, but I never actually used it, tried to get it anywhere. I take a lot away from this video because I look at Joel Embiid in this video, and I look at all that he's gone through, and I look at all the different combinations that have been put around him, and he looks incredibly happy. And to me, his body language right here and his face to me says, wow, I am surrounded by NBA players. Finally. I am finally sitting here with NBA players. With guys who have done it. Guys who have put in the work. Guys who have resumes. After sitting next to you-know-who for way too many years. And the likes of, T.J. McConnell, Markelle Fultz, Robert Covington, Dario Saric, Marco Bellinelli. I'm sitting here with James Harden and P.J. Tucker. I finally think I may have a chance to take this team to the promised land. Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. I think we finally did it, guys. I think we finally did it. I think we finally did it, guys. All right, I got another fun little activity for us because we got the Bleacher Report ranked every NBA starting lineup for 2022, and you might be interested to see where these Sixers line up. What's the freaking page I'm looking for? There it is. Okay, I guess we could zoom in here, make this show up nice and big, right? All right. So here's Bleacher Report ranking every NBA starting lineup after 2022 NBA free agency. Of course, the main photo is Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins. Interesting photo to use, actually. Where's Klay Thompson in there? Anyway, so here you go. Number 30. Dead last, San Antonio Spurs, who traded away, their only future asset, point guard. I forget his name, man. Anyway, they're 30th. Detroit Pistons, young team, building around Cade Cunningham. Got rid of some money that they shouldn't have spent a couple years prior in Jeremy Grant. And some other players, you know what I mean? So I think Detroit's finally doing it the right way. You drafted yourself what you can consider a potential future star. Now let's do it the right way, put the right players around them, keep our cap space open. Hey, maybe we can sign a big-time free agent when the time is right. Nobody really wants to go to Detroit, but, Orlando Magic, 28, self-explanatory. Orlando Magic never doing much of anything. Cole Anthony is nice. Jalen Suggs is nice. They drafted Banchero. The sad Orlando Magic, man. They're just always going to be down there, aren't they? They're just always going to be down there. I mean, like Mo Bamba, is he ever going to turn into the prospect that he's supposed to be? Who knows, man? Who knows? Houston Rockets. It's actually impressive that Houston's 27 on this list because they're the ones that are in, I think, the biggest tank mode. I thought they were in the biggest tank mode. I guess the Spurs are in the even bigger tank mode, but Houston Rockets 27. Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, Jabari Smith Jr. now for Sun. Eric Gordon tried to get out of there. Didn't work out. Kevin Porter Jr. has a ton of talent, but is a hothead maniac who keeps getting in trouble. Jalen Green is nice. Jabari Smith Jr. is nice. We'll see. Sacramento Kings 26. The Sacramento Kings are funny and interesting because 26. So they traded the young stud point guard for Domantas Sabonis, which I just will never understand. They're acting like they're in win now mode, and it's just man, I don't understand the Kings at all. And it's funny that they're acting like they're in win now mode with the trades that they made, and they're 26 on this list. So, there you go, Kings. Kings are never going to go anywhere. 25. They got the Utah Jazz at 25. Obviously, since the Rudy Gobert trade for 5 first-round picks, so the Utah Jazz are unloading. They throw a picture of Donovan Mitchell on there, but they're basically trying to trade him too. The Knicks are I think the most likely landing spot at this point. At least that's what I've been seeing. So we'll have to see about the Utah Jazz. But there you go, 25 Utah Jazz. 24, Oklahoma City Thunder. Again, a team that's doing it the right way. I like it. Drafting young players, giving them time to develop. SGA was in the Paul George trade, but SGA, Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, love that dude. Who's a tall, the 7-foot, 65-pound Chet Holmgren. I'm not too sure about him. I said before I don't know if he's really going to have a long NBA career because he looks like he's made out of cardboard. But you'll have to see about Chet Holmgren, I guess. But, OKC, 24. Let's get more towards the top, man. 23, Indiana Pacers. Of course, they traded for Buddy Hield and Halliburton because the Kings are in win-now mode. Funny that they're 23 and the Kings are 26. But no, Pacers are never going anywhere. Who cares? Washington Wizards, never going anywhere. Bradley Beal re-signs for 5 years, $10 billion or whatever the contract was. You know, gives the classic, like, Damian Lillard warrior speech. I want to win here, and it would be better to win here than somewhere else, and blah, blah, blah. Come on, bro. You got Kristaps Porzingis, who's going to play 10 games a season for the rest of his career. Not interested. 21, Los Angeles Lakers. Wow, that's interesting. The bubble championship Lakers fall all the way to 21 as far as their starting lineup goes, according to Bleacher Report, and that's simply because of Russell Westbrook and one of the worst contracts in the NBA. You can't trade him. He doesn't make your team better. Your team's a lot worse when he's on the floor. It's just a fact. He takes bad shot after bad shot after bad shot. I don't know what the Lakers are going to do, man. It's interesting, actually. You know, LeBron has gotten everything he's wanted so far in his career, as far as, like, when a team's not good enough, getting GMs to, you know, ship players out and trade entire packages and everything. But that Russell Westbrook one is not easy to move. I don't know, man. Lakers seem like they're stuck. You'll have to see, man. It would be sad for LeBron James in his at age 38 in his 20th NBA season to not have a championship level roster. So we'll see. 20 Charlotte Hornets, 19 New York Knicks, and you know, that's impressive that the Knicks are that high. But you know, they signed Jalen Brunson, and then they're in conversation for the Donovan Mitchell trade. They're in conversation. If they land Donovan Mitchell, I think that puts them higher than 19. Interesting. The Knicks are always interesting, man. And shout out to Knicks Fan TV. I love watching Knicks Fan TV on YouTube. If you guys don't watch Knicks Fan TV, you got to go. You got to check in. Knowledgeable basketball guys over there covering the Knicks, and it's fun to watch. Chicago, 18. Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan. Still Vucevic. I thought they were going to trade him. Lonzo was injured last season, so they didn't really get to see what these three look like together with a facilitating point guard on the floor. So we'll see. We'll see about Chicago. 18. 17, Portland Trailblazers. I'm gonna very, very much disagree with this one. I don't think Portland's ever really going to be a threat again. Yeah, they added Jeremy Grant. Another year of Anthony Simons' development, and I love that kid. But I'm sorry, Dame, you got to get out of there, man. You got to go. Stop wasting your whole career in Portland, Oregon. The Blazers are never going anywhere, man. How are they 17? 16, Toronto Raptors. That's interesting, man. Look. The Raptors have a lot of nice young talent. But to me, they're all kind of the same. They have a bunch of 3-and-D type of guys, a bunch of athletes. I don't think they have any stars. Pascal Siakam, to me, you know, the only time he was a star was when he was riding next to Kawhi Leonard. I don't see this team really, like, developing into a championship level team in the next couple of years. I know they think they are, but I'm not seeing the star potential. I see a lot of good role players on the Toronto Raptors. That's just what I see. Is Fred VanVleet a star? Is Pascal Siakam a star? I don't know. 317 people in here, man. Hit the like button for your boy one time. I need 300 likes. Number 15, the Miami Heat. I guess I got to agree with that. Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, Bam Adebayo. You got Tyler Hero coming off the bench. They did lose P.J. Tucker, who was important, and Jimmy Butler made it clear how important that was. Duncan Robinson, $90 million contract, couldn't even get off the bench in the playoffs. But I guess I got to agree with that. 14, New Orleans Pelicans. How did that happen? I mean, there's a lot of ifs with that squad. If Zion Williamson can get back on the floor. I guess they traded for C.J. McCollum. I didn't really watch what he looked like on that squad too much last season. But, yeah, I don't know how the Pelicans are that high. I'm sorry. 13, Atlanta Hawks. No, not that high. No. Nope. No way. Nope. They did trade for DeJounte Murray. That's a stud young point guard, but it's a interesting, maybe questionable fit next to Trae Young. A ball-dominant guy who, can't guard my 7-year-old, but shoots about 33s a game. I'm not saying Trae Young isn't valuable. He is. But adding another point guard next to Trae Young, it's just interesting. There's too many question marks for me for the Atlanta Hawks to be that high. Number 12, Dallas Mavericks. Of course, Luka Doncic. Anybody you put around that kid has a potential to be a good team. I like Spencer Dinwiddie. They lose Jalen Brunson to the Knicks. I don't know. I guess you got to put him that high because it's Luka, but that's not really a scary team, I don't think. I think they were better last year. The Cleveland Cavaliers, number 11. That's interesting, actually. Shout out to Cleveland, man. They've been rebuilding like the right way. You know what I mean? And you stumble across Darius Garland. The trade for Jarrett Allen in that was in the James Harden trade from Houston. I forget how Jarrett Allen ended up in there. They gave up Jarrett Allen, Karis LeVert, and 7 first-round picks or something crazy like that, and Jarrett Allen ended up in Cleveland. Karis LeVert's in Cleveland, who went to Houston at first and then was traded to Cleveland. Whole bunch of things happened. Lauri Markkanen, I don't remember how he got there from Chicago. Maybe that was the same trade. Was it a 4-team trade? I don't know. Too many things are happening. It hurts my head. But I like this Cavaliers team. I liked them last season. And every time the Sixers played the Cavs, I said, this is not the Cleveland Cavaliers of old. This is not the scoff at, laugh at Cleveland Cavaliers. People that don't watch ball would post on Facebook and be like, we lost to the Cavs. Are you serious? The Cavs. This is a good team. This is a deep team. This is they were a top 5 defensive team last season. And they still have a trade piece in the other young point guard that they have that tore his ACL last year. So they could get even better if they could end up moving him. I like the Cavs, man. 10, Grizzlies. Of course, Ja Morant and the squad. Deep team. Baines, Jackson Jr., Dylan Brooks. That's the one. I couldn't think of his name off the top of my head. That's a good team. Got to agree with that. Number 9, the Milwaukee Bucks. Champions just 2 seasons ago. Number 9 on this list, Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. It's all about depth with teams like this, man. Bobby Portis was massive, in them winning that championship. So guess you got to put them there. Number 8, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Nah. No. I can't. No. Just because you added Rudy Gobert and put him next to a center, the best shooting center in the game, technically the best shooting big man in the history of the game, as far as I think his single season efficiency or something like that. But nah, I'm sorry. I don't think Rudy Gobert is gonna make your team that much better. He's a special defensive player, but I don't know. That's interesting to me. That's too big of a question mark for me. I still think that's a very risky trade fit-wise, giving up as many picks as they gave up. And Anthony Edwards is a stud, obviously. D'Angelo Russell, when he's healthy, but can't guard anybody. But D'Angelo Russell, when he's healthy, is a nice point guard to have, but he's never played more than 60 games in a season in his career because he's always hurt. Nah, I'm not scared of the Timberwolves, sorry. Number 7, Phoenix Suns. I got to agree with that. I might have the Suns even higher than that. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, of course, our guy Mikal Bridges, who was traded after being drafted by the 76ers because you had interim coach Brett Brown, or interim and GM Brett Brown, or Scott O'Neal and Josh Harris making the moves up top, who don't know anything about basketball. Who knows why it happened, but he's there. Phoenix Suns squad, always a threat to go the whole way. Oh my God. The Brooklyn Nets. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. When is the mainstream media gonna get over this debauchery? When? This is ridiculous. The Brooklyn Nets were not even the 6th best team in the NBA when Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant were bought in. When Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving wanted to be there, they weren't the 6th best team in the NBA. Not scared of that team at all. Not scared of that team at all. You got a dude you don't know if he's going to play, and once out, you got another dude that requested a trade. You got the biggest fraud in the history of sports, and they have no bench depth whatsoever. I like Bruce Brown, but let's be serious here. Just the mainstream media has been so obsessed with the Brooklyn Nets for so long now. I remember the one dude on ESPN call him then the hypothetical best team of all time. Denver Nuggets, if healthy, gotta agree with that. I know Swipe of Cam's probably mad at them being number 5. He's probably angry. Look, man, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., Caldwell Pope, Aaron Gordon. That's a good starting 5. And it fits well. They got defense, they got rebounding, they got athleticism, they got three-point shooting, they got a ball-handling point guard, they got a magician 7-foot facilitating center, triple-double threat every night. I might put the Nuggets higher than 5. Once I got to see the top 4, I guess. The Clippers, I guess, if we're going if healthy. If we're going if healthy, I guess we put the Clippers there. But are we really doing this? These guys are never healthy. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard always hurt. They add John Wall, who hasn't played basketball for 2 years on the NBA level. I don't know if I can't go Clippers that high. That's too much of a question mark to put them that high. You can't put them over the Denver Nuggets, who went into the Western Conference Finals, deep into the Western Conference Finals, Game 7, I believe, against the Warriors. Or the Suns. I forget. No, you can't put the Clippers over them just because they added John Wall. Nah, I got to put the Nuggets at least number 4 ahead of the Clippers, and I'd probably put the Clippers down somewhere. I don't know. Number 3. The number 3, according to Bleacher Report, best starting lineup in the NBA going into the 2022-23 NBA season is the Philadelphia, ladies and gentlemen, your Philadelphia 76ers. Let's go. James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker, and Joel Embiid. And everybody crying every day saying, we need more. That's not enough. If you guys think that's enough, you don't know ball. We need more. They got us at number 3. And that's just the starting lineup list. I would argue we have great depth compared to a lot of teams in the NBA. I would argue we have great depth on top of having a top 3 starting 5 in the NBA. Let's go. Let's go. James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker, Joel Embiid, Daniel House, DeAnthony Melton coming off the bench, giving you buckets. Shake Milton, maybe. Furkan Korkmaz hopefully is back in Turkey. That's a joke, everyone. But yeah, I don't want to see him play ever. Matisse Thybulle, who knows if he can even get on the floor anymore. I really thought they were going to trade him, and they might still trade him as the offseason progresses. You never know. I think every single day Daryl Morey's probably searching for a Tobias Harris, Matisse Thybulle trade. But there's number 3. I can't disagree. Boston Celtics number 2. Obviously, they were just in the NBA Finals. Perfectly built roster around some young talent. How did they do it? They did it by drafting well, by making good trades, by making good signings, by understanding that interior defense is important, by understanding what kind of players fit the right way around a Jason Tatum and a Jaylen Brown. You don't need other stars. They tried the Kyrie Irving thing. It didn't even make sense. You don't need 3 superstars. You need the right pieces around your 2 all-star players. You know, Grant Williams, Robert Williams, Marcus Smart, on and on and on. And as much as I despise the city of Boston and their sports franchises, obviously I got to be realistic, and they did it the right way, and they built a really good roster. We'll see if Al Horford has any gas left in the tank. I don't know if, they'll be competing for a championship for a couple years, even if Horford retires soon. But Boston, I got bad news for you. This was built by Danny Ainge. And Danny Ainge has been fleecing NBA teams for a long time. And now Danny Ainge is in Utah. And you got Brad Stevens at the helm. And he learned from Danny Ainge. I got to give him that. But I don't know. This entire team, this is a championship-level team, and it was built by Danny Ainge. So good luck in the future. And number 1, of course, is the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, and Kevin Looney. And they have no real reason to change up that starting 5. The Andrew Wiggins trade ended up being way better than we thought it was for D'Angelo Russell. Draymond Green at the 4 is just such a perfect defensive facilitator, modern-day NBA power forward. And the center position doesn't even matter when you look at this much talent on an NBA team. They've been plugging a different guy in there, I think, every year. So I got to agree with number 1 there also. What you guys talking about in the chat? Let's get back to it. Let's read some comments, and then I'm going to get up out of here. 350 people in the stream, lunchtime, live. We do this every Monday and Wednesday at 12. Hit the like button. Give me 350 likes, and make sure you're tuning in every Monday and Wednesday at 12 at lunchtime. We are live. That's why I called it Lunchtime Live. All right, ask me a question, or give me a hot take, or give me a comment, or say something that you think is important. I don't know. Sixers could have got Wiggins for Ben Simmons. I agree with that, Richie MC. They could have, but, again, fit is important. The Warriors have 2 of the best three-point shooters of all time leading their squad, so I don't think you really need Andrew Wiggins to stretch the floor. But trading Ben Simmons for Andrew Wiggins would have kind of been redundant to me. He can shoot, but he's not exactly a floor stretcher. And with Joel Embiid, after everything they tried over the course of how many seasons, you need to space the floor. So I don't think Andrew Wiggins would have been, the right trade there for Ben. And then you wouldn't have James Harden either. And, if James gets back to the elite level that he says he can get back to. Daniel Hilt told me to read the Sixers section on that. Okay, number 3, Philadelphia 76ers. Here we go. I'll read the article here. Harden's non-existent defense presents challenges for any player grouping, but the 76ers will get back far more than they give up with this retooled lineup. The thought of defending a Harden and Embiid pick and roll with Maxey blowing past closeouts on the weak side while Harris and Tucker space out the three-point line should give opposing coaches indigestion. And the added stretch provided by Tucker's renowned gunning from the short corners will keep help from the crashing down on Embiid when he rumbles to the cup. The above unit with Matisse Thybulle in place of Tucker was a wrecking crew in its own right last year. Net rating, you can shove that, where when it comes to Matisse Thybulle. I don't care about regular season net rating stats. I want to win in the playoffs. It's possible Thybulle's defense wizardry will be missed with the aging Tucker taking his spot. No, it won't. But it's not like the veteran forward is a slouch on that end. Tucker has hung his hat on rugged individual defense throughout his career, and while Thybulle disrupts action with his length and anticipation, Tucker is a superior on-ball shutdown option, even at 37. Hey, substituting a player who can play a little bit of defense but can space the floor and shoot threes at a high level is a win-win, because I don't care if Matisse Thybulle averages 5 steals a game. He can't play basketball. Harden and Embiid could break down, and Tucker is past the point where his decline should be expected, but this group is a menace on paper and has everything it needs to dominate on both ends. Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more, except for the Matisse Thybulle part. How is Milwaukee 9? They are easily top 4. Yeah, I agree with that, GSC 76. I'm going to put Milwaukee at 9. I think Bleacher Report's overrating the hell out of the Clippers on this list. And, the fact that they're still putting the Nets that high after their 2 stars openly, asked for a trade is ridiculous. That franchise is in shambles right now. You can't put them at number 6. Speed Demon, it's a damn article. Calm down, the season didn't start yet. Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? Why would you tell me to calm down, bro? Am I not supposed to do off-season content? Chat's always interesting, man. Eastwood, who is better right now, Maxey or Tyler Hero? Dave, are you the one that called in on? Somebody called in on the show when myself and RB were collaborating and was comparing Tyrese Maxey to Tyler Hero. It's a odd comparison to me. But Maxey's a starting level guard in this league and has the potential to be an all-star. Tyler Hero's a stud off the bench, quick trigger, can give you a microwave offense, as they say, but is he even good enough to be starting on that team? No. Maxey's better, obviously. And guess what happened? Guess what? Maxey at 6'3", plays a little bit of defense for his size. You put Tyler Hero on the floor, every single time they put Tyler Hero on the floor against the Sixers, we flat out targeted Tyler Hero. 1-on-1. You can drive right past the dude. He can't guard anybody. So, yeah, Tyrese Maxey's better. Tyrese Maxey's better. I know damn Tyler Hero. Come on, bro. Jedi says Tatum is not a superstar. That's a ridiculous statement. It's an absolutely ridiculous statement. I hate the Boston Celtics too, but let's not say ridiculous things like Jason Tatum is not a superstar. Like a 6'8", 220-pound NBA wing who can dribble, pass, and shoot the ball, who's had 50-point games so far in his career, who just led a team to the NBA Finals, is not a superstar. Let's not say ridiculous things. You can hate the Boston Celtics and not say ridiculous things. Come on, man. Tim Starr, where do you think we'll rank on defense? That's a good question. And I wanted to say this in this stream because, Doc Rivers said it, I think, when he first joined the team that, he wanted to get the team back to being good defensively, which they haven't really done since he said it. But he said something that I never forgot. He said to be every championship team, most championship teams, 99% of them, we're top 5 in offense and top 5 in defense. So the Sixers always kind of have one or the other missing. We either build a really good defensive team who's not good enough offensively, or we build a really good offensive team who's not good enough defensively. I hope they get there. I don't know. I don't see them being like incredibly better defensively than they were last season. They were good enough last season to get to the Eastern Conference Finals if Joel Embiid doesn't break his face. So I just think they're good enough to compete for an NBA championship if everybody stays healthy this upcoming season. But I don't think anybody's still going to be like scared of them defensively. Now, with the Sixers, that's all about being in shape and team chemistry and communication. Most of their defensive flaws was miscommunication, was guys not knowing where they're supposed to be, guys not knowing where they're supposed to go, guys not knowing where they're supposed to rotate, leaving backdoor cutters wide open. Transition defense was terrible. And that all has to do with practice and coaching. So I can't really answer that. But we shall see. Jedi, he's not. Jason Tatum's not a superstar. He's not there yet, Jedi says. He has absolutely no evidence to support that argument that he's making, but we're just going to have to take Jedi's word for it because he knows ball. We use the word superstar way too often. How? Then who's superstars in the league, huh? How is the leading scorer on the team that was in the NBA Finals not a superstar? How? How many superstars are in the league? How many superstars are in the league? Steph Curry's a superstar. Who else is a superstar? Is LeBron James still a superstar at 37? I don't know. He averaged almost 30 points per game last season, so we got to say LeBron's still a superstar. Joel Embiid's a superstar. There's 3. Who else is a superstar? Devin Booker? Is he a superstar? Donovan Mitchell, is he a superstar? Who am I missing? Paul George and Kawhi Leonard when they're healthy? Luka Doncic? Jokic? Is Tatum on Luka, Giannis, Embiid, Jokic, Curry, Durant level? Absolutely. Why not? How is he not? Why not? What has Luka accomplished in the NBA? Jason Tatum got to the NBA Finals. What has Jokic accomplished in the NBA? Jason Tatum got to the NBA Finals. I just think Jason Tatum is a perfect modern-day NBA player. I don't think – I just love that dude as an NBA player. He's the perfect – like, if you could mold a perfect today's game NBA player, it's Jason Tatum, in my opinion. Just my opinion. Is Jimmy Butler a superstar? No. Nah. Very, very, very good glue guy. Jimmy Butler needs star players around him More star players around him. You know, he carried that Miami Heat team as far as he could carry them. But I don't think he's a superstar, you know? At the end of the day, Jimmy Butler's not a good enough shooter to be a superstar. He's not a good enough offensive player to be a superstar. And you saw it. Like I said, the truth always comes to light. That last game against the Boston Celtics, what was it, Game 6? Down 2. Jimmy Butler comes down, wants to be the superstar, pulls the trigger on a three-pointer to win the game, and shanked it. And it wasn't even close because at the end of the day, he's not a good shooter. Jimmy Butler has the heart of a superstar. Just sadly, talent-wise, he's not a superstar in my opinion. Just because you like him doesn't mean he's a superstar. Give Luka, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart. Come on, bro. I like Jaylen Brown too, but we're going to say Jaylen Brown's more of a star than Jason Tatum? How? How? Jaylen Brown is I'll agree with you guys if you call them both superstars, but how are we calling Jaylen Brown a superstar and not Jason Tatum? Anyway, it's all just opinions. I love debate. I love you guys coming in the chat and giving your opinion. 250 people still in here. Please hit the like button on your way out. I'm up out of here. Thanks for hanging out with me today. It was a fun one, man. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for giving your opinion on the topics. Thanks for joining the conversation. Thanks for everyone that supports the channel. I will be back very soon. Y'all stay tuned, man. Run it back, Philly.